March Madness is officially here. The bracket is out. I'm Reger with SBD, and today we're going to be breaking down the entire NCAA tournament bracket, region by region, highlighting the best betting angles, some potential upset spots, and some futures value that I'm seeing right now. And make sure to stick around because later in the video, I will be giving out 4 first round bets that stand out immediately based on the matchups that we got. So let's jump into the bracket, but before we dive into each region, let's zoom out and talk about a few big picture takeaways from the bracket. First, committee definitely created some interesting paths for these top seeds. We've got Duke as the number 1 overall seed, not surprising at all, followed by Arizona, Michigan, and Florida. But what immediately stands out to me is that some of the strongest teams in the country are actually seated lower than expected, which could create some serious value in both first round spreads and tournament futures. Another thing to keep in mind when betting March Madness is the different styles of matchups. Some teams are built for tournament play, strong defense, experienced guards, and the ability to control tempo. Other teams rely heavily on pace or shooting variance, and those teams can be dangerous to bet on. They can be very volatile. They can go on a run, make you look dumb if you bet against them. They can make you look dumb if you bet on them, and then they go cold. So as we go through each region, I'm looking at some potential upset matchups, teams that could make deeper runs than their seeds suggest, and where the betting markets might be overvaluing some teams. Let's start with the East region. Number 1 seed here, of course, is Duke. This team has been dominant most of the season, and they come into the tournament with one of the best efficiency margins in the country. But their path through this region might not be as easy as a 1 seed should get, especially the number 1 overall seed. Their first round matchup, Siena, 16 seed, should obviously be manageable. But then looking ahead to the second round, they could potentially face Ohio State, who is playing really good basketball, and then TCU, who is very volatile. They can beat any team and they can lose to any team. So that 8-9, not a gimme for Duke. And a team I'm watching in this region, it's the 5 seed St. John's, the Big East champion. Historically, of course, the 5 versus 12 matchup produces upsets more often than any other first round pairing. And when I saw Northern Iowa was a 12 seed, I was very excited. I wanted to bet on them, liked them to pull off a potential upset, liked them to cover the spread. And then I saw that they got St. John's in the draw. Northern Iowa plays at a slower pace, and they defend well. After they won the Missouri Valley, like I said, I really liked them to pull off a potential upset, but they do not match up well against the St. John's team. St. John's minus 9.5, minus 10.5, depending on where you look right now. Northern Iowa is not going to out-physical this Rick Pitino team. That is red hot right now. Another interesting team in this region is Michigan State. This region is really a fun one to watch with so many great iconic coaches. You have Duke, you have UConn, you have Michigan State, Kansas, and St. John's. That is absurd. Very dangerous region that I cannot wait to watch. Really tough draw for Duke, the number 1 overall seed. And then going to the West region, top seed here is Arizona. Their second round matchup could potentially be against Villanova or Utah State. The Mountain West really struggles in the tournament, but they get me every year, and they're doing it again because Utah State is a very talented team that I really like, and Villanova really struggled down the stretch. And the Big East was just not what it's used to being this season. Another thing to watch for in this bracket, I think things have really aligned for the 6 seed BYU in this region. They'll play either NC State or Texas, both really struggling down the stretch. And then they'll play a weaker Gonzaga team if they win that game as a 3 seed. I think AJ DeBonsa and BYU looked really great in the Big 12 tourney. Of course, they didn't win, but they were explosive and showed a lot of things after kind of falling down the stretch. So BYU's path here, I think they could find a way to the Sweet 16. Purdue got the 2 seed in this region and is fresh off a Big Ten tournament championship, and they have a great draw. They've been very inconsistent during this season, but when they're playing their best basketball, they definitely have the talent to make a Final Four run. with Braden Smith, all the experience that they have. Arkansas is the 4 seed as well, the SEC champion. Could give Arizona fits as well in the Sweet 16, but I do think Arizona comes out of this region. The Big 12 is the deepest conference, and Arizona just continues to win and win every time they get on the court. Moving over to the Midwest region, and the top seed here is Michigan. They've been impressive all season long, and their path is great. I see a lot of potential upsets in this bracket, in this region, more than any of the other ones. I think Akron over Texas Tech and all the injuries that Texas Tech has dealt with. I think the Zips are a really good team. I think they will make things tough for them. Shout out, we have a 2-bid match. Wright State, they're plus 18.5 right now against Virginia. We know Virginia can struggle in the first round. Wright State, very good, coming from a not bad Horizon League. And one game that I'm circling immediately in this bracket, Kentucky versus Santa Clara. I'm very excited about this game. Kentucky played well in the SEC tournament. They maybe started getting some momentum, but Santa Clara reached the WCC final, and they are a really good team. I'm looking at them in this game. Another team worth mentioning here is, of course, the 2 seed Iowa State. We can't forget how great that game was against Arizona. How will they respond? They got a little extra rest now, and now they have a really good path with some of these potential upsets that I'm seeing to have an Elite 8 showdown against Michigan. Finally, let's take a look at the South region. This region features Florida as the 1 seed, and we have a potential national championship rematch in the Elite 8 with Houston as the 2 seed. Another intriguing matchup here is the typical 5-12 showdown, Vanderbilt versus McNeese. McNeese, it's a fun name. We know what they are capable of as a program, but I don't believe this McNeese team is as strong as they have been in years past, so I think Vandy will win this game. The 6-11 game in this one is also fun. North Carolina versus VCU. North Carolina missing Caleb Wilson, and they are trending down. The spread in this one for a 6-11 game, it's only 2.5, and I think the Rams can win this one fresh off an A-10 Conference Tourney Championship. So this region could produce some of the most exciting games. All right, so now that we have kind of talked a little bit about each of the 4 brackets, let's talk about some Final Four picks from the East. I think I'm going with Michigan State. This is a tough one with all the best coaches in college basketball, all the iconic, great names. I kind of like Tom Izzo. And then from the West, like I said, I'm going with Arizona. The Big 12 is just so deep, and Arizona cannot stop winning close games. They'll win blowouts. The Wildcats are really, really good this year and a lot of fun to watch. From the Midwest, I'm kind of leaning towards Iowa State, staying in the Big 12 and with all the upsets in that bracket. I like the odds that Iowa State has. There's definitely a path there. And out of the South, I think Houston gets their revenge over Florida in the Elite 8, and they advance to the Final Four. I do think it served the Gators well to lose in the SEC tournament when they did, gives them some extra rest. But I think Houston can get it done this year. I really like Kingston Flemings and their guard play. Right now, some of the future bets to reach the Final Four that I would consider: Arizona. Duke is the number 1 team, but their path is very difficult. I think Arizona has the easiest path out of the 1 seeds, and I like Michigan State as a value pick as well. They're physical, typical Tom Izzo type team. Obviously, he has a lot of experience coaching in March, and they have the guard play this year to make a run. And before we wrap this video up, I want to give out some initial early first round bets. I have 4 of them. These ones immediately stand out. As soon as the brackets were released, the odds were released. Bet number 1, I really like South Florida plus 6.5 over Louisville, this 11-6 matchup. I think 6.5 is just too many points. I cannot trust this Louisville team. And South Florida, very talented, as they just won their conference tournament. I think they match up well. And then for my second bet, I kind of alluded to it a little bit earlier. This is way too many points. Wright State plus 18.5 against Virginia. I really like the Raiders here out of the Horizon to keep this game close, well within 18, no problem. I think they might be able to pull off the outright upset. That would be a crazy one for a 14-3. Then another one I like, an 8-9 game. Utah State minus 2.5 against Villanova. I know the Mountain West can struggle outside of San Diego State's run a few years ago to the national championship. But Villanova, this team has not looked good. They have not looked competent. And Utah State is a lot of fun, and they're favored as the 9 seed. I think the Aggies can get it done in the first round. And then lastly, how about some points? I like Wisconsin high point over 164.5. Wisconsin, one of the hottest teams right now. Yes, they lost to Michigan in the Big Ten semifinals, but that game was great. They've been scoring. High point also likes to move fast and score a lot of points. I like this over a lot. And of course, don't forget the key with tournament betting, it's always getting the best number. Different sports books will have slightly different odds. So if you're betting on these games, make sure you're shopping the lines and checking out the odds at multiple sports books. I have links in the description to different sports books for you guys to look around and get the best number. And if you want more picks throughout the tournament, we have you covered. Make sure you subscribe to the channel because we'll have breakdowns and best bets throughout the tournament. Good luck with your bets, and let's have an amazing March Madness.